Hi everyone, it's Mel here and welcome to your practice. This practice is the first of 4 practices that we've designed, especially with our hypermobile community in mind. But know that if that's not part of your current experience, that there will be something in these next 4 practices for you too. So this first practice is a sensitizing practice, with the idea being that we build a little bit more awareness of the spectrum of sensation in the body. So we're going to do that through a combination of movement, breath, and even using our own hands on our bodies at different points in the practice. So this can be a useful practice for when we're feeling a little bit disconnected from the body, but likewise we can also use a practice like this when we're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by sensation. So as we move through, I'm going to be offering you lots of options, and know that everything here is an invitation. And you're also welcome to pause this practice and come back to it at any point in time. In terms of setup, I'm just going to be practicing or moving from the floor, which you can see behind me here. So you'll need something soft to lie on, a mat, a towel, a blanket. And if you're someone that likes a few extra props, I'm going to use a bolster and a block to prop my head up from the ground. But grabbing a bolster, pillows, cushions, anything, blankets that might feel supportive for you. So feel free to hit pause and run and grab anything that you need. We're also going to supply a little playlist or a track that you might like to play in the background of this practice. But if that's something that you find distracting or unsupportive for your nervous system, then you might prefer just to practice to the sound of my voice. So let's begin. So settling back onto your mat or onto the props you've set up. I should mention that depending on the time of day, you could even do this practice lying in bed. I'm going to encourage you to have your knees bent to start with. And if that feels a little taxing or your body's a little fatigued, feel free to take some extra props and slide them underneath your knees. You don't have to have your knees as bent as mine are. Just find an angle that feels comfortable and supportive for you. Once you've done that, feel free to be really fussy with your comfort levels today. So if you need to wiggle about and readjust, you can do that now, but know that you can do that at any point throughout the practice as well. And then take this moment to rest the arms down next to the body. You might like to have the palms facing down or up. And then the invitation here is to close down the eyes. This will give us an opportunity to withdraw a little bit from the noise in our outside environment. But once again, if that's something that feels a little agitating for your system, then you can blink the eyes open at any point in time, or you can keep them open for the whole practice. So now bringing the awareness down to the soles of your feet. Being that that's the furthest point of the body away from us, sometimes this can be a little bit difficult to locate. So you're welcome to wiggle your toes, maybe press the soles of the feet into the earth. Really use movement to increase the amount of sensation available. And just start to get a sense of both footprints pressing into the earth beneath you. And now gathering your awareness and starting to bring it up a little bit higher. So perhaps it comes into the calves, and the lower parts of the legs. And if they're supported by an object, you might be able to feel the sensation of that object, the sensation of clothing against your skin. Scanning the awareness up a little higher to the backs of the thighs. Again, noticing which parts are in contact. Before you then bring the awareness up to the hips. Feeling the hips supported by the earth. And then into the lower back, the back of the rib cage, the backs of your shoulders, and feeling into the arms. As we invite a little bit more awareness into the body, we might gradually become more aware of little asymmetries or quirks in our bodies. You might notice the body breathing and know that there's nothing to do with the breath just yet. Before you then bring the awareness back to the tops of the shoulders, the back of the head and the neck, feeling a sense of connection through the entire back surface of the body, releasing the weight of the body into the earth. And now I'm going to demonstrate the next movement for you, so feel free to blink the eyes open, even just to get a glimpse of what I'm showing you. We're going to pick up the left leg. So we'll bring that in towards the chest, and we'll initially just kind of grab into the front of the knee. Squeeze that leg in nice and tight. And now you can make some room by letting the knee come out to the side if that works better for your architecture. But see if you can achieve this by kind of softening through the arms. You've made a little cradle, a little structure of support. But see if you can avoid creating any tension in the upper body where it's not needed. As you settle into this first position, start to feel the body breathing, and particularly feeling the belly rise and fall, making contact with the top of that thigh on the left-hand side. If you need to deepen and expand the breath to be able to feel that, take the breath down a little bit lower. Just feeling the connection of the skin of the belly to the skin of the thigh. Then you're going to walk the hands behind the back of the knee. So I like to interlock my fingers and just let the lower leg hang really heavy. And you've heard me use that word heavy a couple of times now, to see if you can maintain that sense of heaviness. From here, we're extending the knee, straightening the leg out, and maybe the foot moves in the direction of the ceiling. If you're someone that's a little bit more bendy, you might have a lot of range in that joint, particularly in the knee. But know that today we're not necessarily aiming to see how far we can go. What I'd love for you to feel into or explore is where you start to first feel tension in that movement, if you do it all. So we're just bending and straightening gently, reasonably slowly, but you can move at a pace that feels right for you. And the next time you extend the leg, have a look down at the foot. And maybe you can start some small circles of the foot or the ankle in a clockwise direction. So just feeling which parts of the ankle move maybe smoothly. You can feel a little gliding happening there. Now, are there any points that feel a little bit creaky or stiff? I've started to move in a counterclockwise direction, so you might like to try that too. Keep breathing. And then just softening that leg down, releasing the leg and the foot back down onto the floor. Pausing here briefly before we do the other side. What can you notice? Do the two sides feel the same? Is there a little bit more sensation available to you? Can you feel what's different from one side to the other? And again, if that's not coming easily to you, then that's okay too. Picking up the right leg next. Let's hold on to the top of the knee or the shin and hug that leg in nice and close, but without any tension in the upper body. Make some space or adjust the ankle of the leg as you need to. And then allow the body to breathe. Feel the belly rise into the thigh. What can you notice here? Sliding the hands behind the back of the thigh. Find something that feels comfortable and supportive there before you start to bend and straighten the leg. And often this is the point where we might start to really notice differences between the two sides. A feeling of tautness through the back of the leg, the thigh, the hip. This gives us a lot of information about the spine as well. For some of us, this might feel like it's unchanging each time we move, and for others, the more we do, we might start to feel that soften and let go. The next time the leg's straight, take a look at the foot and start to move it in a circular way. See if you can make those circles really smooth, no edges. Other direction. Keep breathing. And then releasing that leg down slowly and placing the foot back down to the earth. Pause here. So as you feel your feet on the ground, can you feel, or do you have more of a sense of the lower body and the legs in space relative to one another? And we move on now next to the pelvis. So coming up to this big three-dimensional structure. And for some of us, again, difficult to feel. So you might like to place your hands on the outside of the bony rim of the pelvis and just lightly press in, which will give your nervous system, your brain, a little bit more input. And then from here we start a very small rocking movement, rocking back towards the mat or the floor, and then rocking forwards. And through this movement we change the shape of the spine. So perhaps in one direction the spine feels as though it flattens, and then in the other the spine will lift and arch. Once again, we're really interested in what happens as we initiate the movement, what happens early, rather than how far can we go? Because of course we know that most of you will be able to go quite a long way. As for the breath here, I would just encourage you to make sure that you're breathing. It's so easy for us as we're concentrating or learning something new. Maybe we're exploring a body part or an area that feels, a little strange, or, potentially we've had an injury there. And we can hold our breath as a result of all of those things. So just find a breath pattern that sort of matches the movement in its amplitude and effort. You might like to take your hands off at some point and just feel the body moving without your input. And then allow the pelvis to rock and settle somewhere in the middle. Turning your palms to face up to the ceiling next. If you bend the elbows, you're going to bring the fingertips very lightly to tap the front of the shoulder, just the round part. And then extend, unfold both arms back to the floor. Breathe in, float the arms up, tap the shoulder. And exhale as you open the arms back up. The next time you bend, hold on to the front of the shoulder and then start to lift the elbows off the floor so that they point up to the ceiling. Take them in a circular motion out and around. I'll get a few little pops and clicks there. And then bend or circle the arms back through the middle. So you can make these circles as large or as small as you like, keeping in mind what we've already spoken about today. You can reverse the direction of the circles once again. And just keeping your own hands on the front of the shoulder. So you can offer a little bit more support to that joint. And then find the elbows back to the floor. Unfold from the elbow and place the hands onto the rib cage. So this could be onto the sides or a little bit more around to the front. We're all put together slightly differently, so find what works for you. And for the first time, or for the first time in this practice today, might be the first time for you in your day at all, we're going to focus a little bit more on the breath. And again, for some of us, that might feel more or less challenging. So know that I'll give you some options as we go. You're going to picture your ribcage in 3 compartments, or your body in 3 compartments, made up of the belly, the ribs, and the chest. And that's how you'll fill them with air. So what that sounds like is breathing into the belly first, then the ribs, then the chest. Breathing out. Nice long exhale. Let's do that again together. Filling up the belly, then the ribs, then the chest. Exhale. One more time. Belly, ribs, chest. Breathing out. Take as long as you can with this last breath out. And then let the breath fall back into a pattern that feels natural for you. The eyes may be open or closed at this point, and you might like to just release the hands back down to the floor. As we start to head towards the end of this practice, I just want to offer you a little bit of movement through the neck and head. Maybe it's a little shake from side to side. Nothing too big or quick. Just feeling the tissues at the back of the head, maybe the hair on the support surface. Maybe you nod the chin down and up a couple of times, as if you were saying yes, before you settle the head back into the center. And we take a moment here just to invite an awareness of the full body. We've moved very intentionally from the bottom, from the toes, all the way up to the head. And it's likely that you felt a little bit more physical sensation as we've moved through. But some of us will have also noticed other feelings, potentially emotions, or even thought patterns as we've continued the practice. Notice what's there. There's nothing for you to fix or change or solve. You can take as long as you like in this position, basking in the awareness and the sensitivity that you have created. Thank you for joining me for this practice, and I'll see you on the mat again soon.